So let's begin making our website by going to the File menu, and we're going to define a new site. So we'll go to Manage Sites, and what I want to be doing in here is creating a new site called Chapter 7. So if you don't have one created already, you can just go to New Site, and you can define your site by pointing to the Chapter 7 folder. And you can go to the source files, and in Chapter 7 you'll see a start file and a finished file. So what I want you to be working with is the start file. So we can click on the start and we can choose that file. You can give it a site name like Chapter 7, and once that's done you will see only the start files. Now in the start files you'll notice that I have a number of images already prepared for you. Now these particular images, which you can look at in the Assets menu over here, contain a number of files that we'll be working with to make our website. All of these files were prepared in Photoshop, and if you're curious about the preparation of these files, you can look at KillerSites.com Photoshop for the web. CS6. So what I want you to do is to open up the index page. So let's double click that, and what we're going to be addressing in the index page is this area here, the header section. So there's our header, and what we want to be doing is creating a number of CSS. Now you'll see that there already happens to be a layout.css page that's working in here. There's not really much going on in this particular example except the basic structure, all the things that we've already created in the previous videos. Now at this point what we're really going to be concentrating on is just integrating some images and making this look a whole lot nicer. So the first thing we want to do is look at that header section. If we go to our code view, we can see that we have a header. Now in that header I really only need the H1 tag, so I'm going to remove this span that was here. That should not be there for your purposes. So here we are with the KillerSites University H1. Alright, well at this point we're going to be targeting that specific header. So what we're going to need to do is position our cursor right inside this header, and we will go to our CSS styles. Notice I'm trying to get it right in here underneath that header. Now if we're not in live view, that shouldn't be a problem. If you were in live view, it would always go down to the bottom. So I think I should be okay at this point. So it's not the header, but we're going to go down to a new CSS rule, and when we open that up we are targeting the H1 inside the header, so we can be less specific. It's really only headers H1 that we are dealing with. So I'm going to click OK. At this point, there are a few things we want to do. First of all, let's look at creating a background image for us to work with. Now this particular background image is going to be dealing with the logo that we've created in the Photoshop video. So I'm going to click on Browse, and I'm going to go to the Start menu. Let's make sure we're inside Chapter 7, Source Files, Start. That's right. So here's the Images folder, and you'll see one called Logo Transparent Logo that we've created in the past. Notice the size, 455 by 78. And that's going to be important for us in a few minutes. So I'm going to click OK. And if we were to apply that, you would see, oh boy, it's just repeating over and over and over again. That's not at all what we want. So we're going to say no repeat on the background. That's good. So looking at its positioning, we can see that it's rather tight up at the top. So I think we will make an adjustment just to move it down a little bit. So I'm going to set the background position to 0, and I'm going to set the Y position to, let's say, 20 pixels to make it move down. So that should be good, and as you can see I've included the area here specifically that has the text inside of it as well. Now I generally don't like to replace text with images, but in this particular instance I'm going to make an exception simply because the KillerSites University that was prepared in Photoshop had a bevel effect that might be challenging to try and replicate simply with CSS3. So I also want to use this as an opportunity to show you how to go about making changes like this. Now you'll notice that I still have my text, KillerSites University, which is inside my HTML code. That is good. We want search engines to be able to notice that. And the reason why we generally don't use images to replace text is because search engines will have a difficult time of reading that particular image. It doesn't know what that image says. It only sees it as a box. So we want to leave the text that's here for search engines, but we want to move it away so that it's not visible to our end users. So one of the ways of doing this is to go to the category called block, and what we want to be doing is setting the text indent to a negative value, something crazy like -6,000. Then if we apply that, you can see that the text that was here just a second ago has now been moved to the left 6,000 pixels. Now it's still there. The only difference is we don't see it because it's off of our screen. However, if we were to return to our code view, it would still be there, and that makes it visible for search engines. So in the rare instance where you'd ever choose to replace your text with an image, this is one of the best ways of doing so, but still having search engine compatibility. So keep that in mind as you move forward. However, for the remainder of this particular video tutorial, that will be the only instance where we'll be swapping text with an image.